The world needs you. My whole life's been a lie. Yeah. Found this out at 6 years old. Holy crap. You're a detective genius. Oh, why are you on Tumblr when the world needs you to go solve the toughest crimes like what's inside a battery? Interesting. I never knew they did that. A quick search brought me to a site showing how a wide array of 9-volt batteries are built, and they all follow one of two formats. The one shown here, which looks like 6 AAA cells wrapped in a box, or a series of 6 flat rectangular cells stacked vertically on top of each other. Learn something new every day, I guess. Yeah, that's all very interesting, but since you didn't discover it at 6 years old, I'm sadly unimpressed. You're just not as cool as the other guy. Only high IQ people understand Black Mirror. These episodes have gotten progressively dumber as the seasons have gone by. Brooker has become lazy, cliche, and predictable. A trashy woman with low self-esteem gets fired by her assistant? Yeah, really believable. The first thing you learn in film school is to create a suspension of belief for the viewer to be drawn in. Brooker has shown he's completely unable to draw viewers in except for those with the lowest IQ few. So yeah, I'm not watching. No way, the backrooms aren't real? This genuinely captured the feeling of the backrooms. The lighting, camera movement, and sound effects were spot on. For real. Dude, it's an art thing that someone made. No, God, this guy. No one here besides maybe 2 or 5-year-olds actually think this is real. I think everyone knows this is fake, Mr. Sherlock. But I like the guy right beneath that comment who said it a little more succinctly. Jackass. Vocabulary, man. My least favorite superhero. Uses armchair philosophy. Or maybe he's smart, but has ego and therefore resorts to unusual grammar for normies. I occasionally indulge in such vocabulary. Makes me feel better than people. That's always a good feeling, isn't it? Also, having ego is not objectively bad nor good. Reality is based on perception. Sad how everyone criticizes others for no reason, as that person gave constructive criticism. Why insult, bash, and make fun of that person? Is it perhaps because you're empty inside, and thus resort to taking it out on others? I sometimes do that too. I'm guilty as charged. Good day, New Year's. Well, he ended that a little positively. I'm surprised at how positive that ended, actually. Atheist remarks about how much smarter of an atheist he is than everyone else. I feel like there's 2 types of atheists. 1. Group 1 are people who have come to the conclusion that a personal God is an absurd idea. They come from all walks of life, but I like to think that they're very intelligent and examine the world around them, and are able to appreciate the beauty of the universe knowing there's no God. They don't hate religion and see it more as a cultural thing. 2. Group 2 are people who had a religious family member and they have several personal issues or trauma because their grandma was a dick who made them go to church on Sundays. They're bitter and vengeful. Most of you guys are group 2. Just doing a head count? Yeah, you guys are group 2. I'm definitely group 1 because I'm better. I'm better than you. Letterboxd review of bottoms. Please read charitably if at all. The representative alliance with football, boxing, wrestling should be examined if continues to exclude many, represented by one of the same people it normally excludes. Have we stigmatized Fight Club for nothing? I don't think it can be emphasized enough that a certain form of queer phobia directed towards people of a certain genital status, and this is my personal, visceral, possibly unfair reaction to what I intuitively feel to be a horrifying failure of representation, committed by people who, to be fair, are young, green, justifiably indignant. Basically, I am learning, as we all are. Please don't read my reviews if they offend you. Handful of followers. Oh, handful of followers, God. I just want to have an outlet for my thoughts and outlawing the public expression for myself, even, or maybe especially, when not directed toward a certain end, feels intuitively wrong because it is. Takes the form of people of another genital status airing, and truly I want to swim away from doing this myself, their legitimate grievances based partially in domestic violence committed very clearly by the phalluses. Did you just call them the phalluses? Without concern for the social survival of those who may find themselves captured in an incredibly vague, underdeveloped representation, the internalization of which would inevitably harm social survival, hoping to pick up some butler soon for the represented, but then again, may and seems to aid the social survival of the representers, and in some sense, that is just what comedy is, the to varying degrees careful selection of an in-group which can realistically meet its own needs, and this part is most crucial to remember in my opinion, expand and improve its eyesight/nurturing capacity once it's gathered strength, and comedy representing adolescence, a period of blunt emotions and behaviors, may simply need to be blunt in its logic and gestures. One might think, and then one rewatches fucking Cocaine Bear, haha, and just, we can do better, lol. Greta Gerwig and Tina Fey have, and I admire them deeply for that, among others. Maybe less charitably, re this film, there is something deeply troubling going on. In my view, with the late 20s, 30s something art adjacent, though it's often difficult to understand what exactly the art is. What word is, this is the second time I've seen this word. Milieu resonating to the completely unapologetic fascism of works like Red Scare, read Crumpstack if interested. In conclusion, maturity is desirable. You could have just had those last 3 words and had that be your review. We didn't need all that. We didn't need you to lay it on so thick and have all that extra wordiness. God, this subreddit makes me so mean. I feel like I just get so mean and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be. Atheism is an inherently right-wing religion. If you actually cared about or understood historical materialism, you'd understand that it demands agnosticism on the subject of metaphysical considerations. They fucked up their first sentence. Atheism's not a religion. Point invalid. Womp womp. In other news, discussing comic books is on the same level as going to law school / being a lawyer. Also, your argument and debate skills are shitty, and you honestly should be ashamed of the fact that you somehow got through law school with that level of skill. Spamming panels over engaging in thoughtful conversation and using them to actually back up a point, refusing to listen to what others are saying, and deliberately refusing to read the room and understand that making people uncomfortable to the point that they disengage from the conversation isn't the same as making a valid point are all exceptionally awful behaviors to have as a lawyer. Just saying, maybe you should reconsider being a lawyer, pal. Still a 2D rotation, even if it's in 3D space. Finally, I have the vocabulary to express why I was angry at this explanation. My mom, it's easy, just remember righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. 12-year-old me, you cannot precisely specify a 3-dimensional rotation within a 2-dimensional vector. Mother unit. That's not even really a 2D vector. Right and left are just positive or negative directions along a single dimension. Yeah, I'm a dummy and I thought the same thing. Also, what makes the rotation 3-dimensional? Would rotating a flat circle not be a 2-dimensional rotation? The only intelligent, high IQ way is to ignore the silly Homo sapiens. I can't stress this out. I'm full of hatred. Okay, it's simple. With people, there's always bad experiences to happen. It's the law of nature in the universe. People suck. I don't get pleasure from just being in presence of people, so the high IQ move here is just avoid people in general. There are exceptions, of course, but these are more in the lines of respectful people, high IQ humans who get it. I can't even people today. And there's the people who just can't accept a person just likes being alone. I'm sorry that I don't have my primal senses of socialization as tuned as you do. I'm good though, so go away, lol. People want my company as if I was their toy to satisfy their caveman social needs. Clowns. That's them. Literally happens in almost every social group. It's so disgusting how this is done with no rationalization. It's the purest form of coping. Coping with the fact that the only person you carry around anywhere is yourself. I don't know if humanity will ever accept the fact that an individual is individual. You're alone and have to cope about it to deny reality. Weak. People like to think that there's a way to rationalize social interactions beyond manipulation. There isn't. I've reached a point where I've developed sociopathic behavior, sometimes on purpose, in order to survive society, because I'm about to lose it and my sanity's falling or failing. I didn't see the eye there. I'm winning life. Yeah, like Charlie Sheen was winning. I'm winning too. I speak 4 languages to your 1, and more intellectual commentary. I speak 4 languages to your 1. And no, when you attach the adverb incredibly, it makes the case of whatever you're describing more extreme. And unlike you, I took both in my university class. Now, anyway, correcting the rest of your grammar, rare and uncommon are 2 different things. Uncommon means it's not the majority of where you're describing, but you'll still see some of it. Rare means you barely ever see it. And again, I actually lived here. You do not. I see people with blue eyes all the time. Also, 8 to 10%, a global statistic. Even Greece is already twice that in Northern Europe. 8 times that. Anyway, blue eyes aren't incredibly rare in the Bahamas. None of this is racist. Stop victimizing yourself. You don't like black people, just say it. Where did the rest of this come from? What? Okay, I didn't understand where that came from, so I had to find the context. That whole reply was in response to just a woman being, I guess, nasty. I didn't get to see what the parent comment was that they were responding to, but I did see them reply to their name being blurred in the iAmVerySmart subreddit. All those qualifications just say it's probably ghosts and that you shouldn't see a psychiatrist. Are you a PhD with reputable degrees and experience who's worked in mental health for over several decades? It would be hilarious for you to see my resume. At any rate, hope you feel more confident later on when you've established yourself. Yes, my relationships have been unfortunate, but yet have made me a better practitioner. If you think your education's going to help you with relationships, you're likely to be disappointed. Multiple post-grad Ivy League degrees, psychology and related, actually studied under the author of the grad-level neuropsychology professor who basically wrote the text everyone at a demanding school used. Grants personally received. As a result, offered entry into the same PhD program, went on to PhD at top 10 school, 3 decades of clinical experience, inpatient and out. Regardless, you'll find a way to feel superior. It's the new way. We navigate the vast universe of knowing everything without actually knowing anything. And that's the beauty of it. We don't need to, right? Or are we gonna be like annoying about it? Oh, bravo to those self-proclaimed open-minded intellectuals. Oh, we're gonna be annoying about it. Their minds are so open, they could double as a gateway to another dimension. Clearly, the epitome of enlightenment is regurgitating the same ideas in a slightly fancier font. Keep up the groundbreaking work, oh wise sages of recycled wisdom. Absolutely, because acknowledging the vast expanse of our ignorance is the first step to enlightenment. Let's embark on a thrilling journey of critical thinking, challenging not just our own assumptions, but also graciously dissecting the profound insights of others. After all, who needs to know everything when you can just pretend, right? Ignorance is bliss, is it not? A comment about the newest South Park special. This was an absolutely amazing South Park episode. That's because they're very good at setting up many differing levels of stories so that the uneducated ones will still enjoy it, even if they don't understand the context. This episode dove deep into the negative parallels of neoliberal communism in the current politosphere, which basically made fun of your entire lifestyle. You probably thought it was about YouTube influencers in Prime, though. It's not lost on me that their profile picture is Garrison as Trump. Can't sleep again. When it's 4 a.m. and you can't fall back to sleep because you're contemplating if the speed of light took 0 time one way and twice as long than other to travel. Would it be undetected due to time dilation and space contraction? And what would that mean for casualty of light traveling from the edge of the universe if going on the infinite direction? Some questions will never be answered. This short was a scientist explaining the double slit experiment and how the smaller the particle size, the more bands you get out of just 2 slits. The craziest part isn't even mentioned. It switches back to 2 bands when you look at it. Exactly. Manifest reality. Now let's talk about the concept of scientific law and presumptive objectivity based on who subjectively interprets data, or the possibility it makes a difference just because a group believes they're perceiving the same thing. Let's talk about that. On a post announcing that Oppenheimer won an award, people saying Barbie should have won is only because their small minds couldn't grasp the whole concept of Oppenheimer. It was too much for them to process, and they probably walked out after 25 minutes. Unfortunately, they probably had low IQ or short attention spans, because I'm literally Oppenheimer and I understood the gravity of it. Oh yes, people saying Coke should have been adjudged the superior cola lack the cognitive faculties to fully comprehend the superlative flavor of Pepsi. But if you rearrange the letters, it spells sip P. Very true. And Coke is like cane. I mean, if that doesn't change your mind, are you even human? They bring up a good point. They bring up a very good point. One that I think you should look into. High IQ equals better than everyone else. It's just simple math. On the MBTI spectrum, boo! INTPs have higher IQs compared to the rest. Therefore, to answer your question, yes, we are better than everyone else. Let them learn to deal with it. Who upvoted that? Who were the 2 upvotes? It was on a post asking why INTPs think they're better. No wonder why, ignore MBTI cringe, INTPs suck at life. No, they suck the life out of everything else because they're being mean. When your house is so cold it feels like the cold is pouring in, but you know thermodynamics and the heat is actually flowing out at a high rate of speed. God. You just make it not fun. Why are you making it not fun? You're just sucking the joy out of life, man. Cold is the same as heat, but at a different temperature. Yeah, it's more blue and less red too. That's what I saw. That's what I noticed. According to this smartass, people celebrating sports victories are comparable to animals. Argentina winning felt like a victory for all of humanity. Tens of thousands of people crying from happiness. Olympics who? When you see people celebrating football victory like this, like animals, it's kind of sad. You ask yourself, where have we gone wrong as humanity? After all, it's 22 guys shooting the ball. WTF? TF? Yeah, use that logic with everything in life and nothing will make sense. We understand that you don't like, and I'm assuming they're just dunking on him for being a sad sap and sucking the joy out of this guy's day. Enlightened doomer is enlightened. Oh, we're gonna get some wisdom from the doomer. I seriously can't understand how people wake up every day and are able to just go about their days as if everything's fine. This leads me to believe 99.9% of the world is incredibly stupid or lower forms of consciousness, physically unable to comprehend reality as it is. I'm going back to bed. Oh no, another one. The world will soon plunge into turmoil as 2024 will wreak havoc upon the earth. I'll let out an evil cackle. As heating intensifies at an accelerated pace, and all the people that ignored me about climate change, shunned me, put me down, and joked, they will pay the ultimate price. Listening to classical music while studying. If you see me listening to a ton of classical music, it's cause I'm studying. It helps, to be honest, but maybe others don't get it. I'm on a studying spree right now, so ignore all the classic music. Piano Concerto No. 2 in C minor. Op. 18. I Am Moderato by Sergei Rachmaninoff is a banger though. Really underrated. I love comments that bring nothing new, only to sound superior. But the water's moving. Depends on the perspective. Even in physics, but yeah, from a space/ISS or just 100 miles distant place on Earth away, it's clear the water's still, but the crust is moving. And in the end, every system moves. And the reason for often weird so-called fictitious forces in physics, like the centrifugal force or Coriolis effect. I don't know if I said that right. A lot of these words are gonna miss me because I'm not one of these big-time smart guys here. Relative to the land, the water is moving side to side. Just like when you hold a bowl of water and start moving suddenly, the water will slosh back and forth and continue even after you stop. Also, it's possible this video was taken after the earthquake had stopped. The water moves because the walls of the bowl move into it. I love comments that bring nothing new, only to sound superior. So we agree the water's moving. Yes? Cope more. I have a master's degree and know what I'm talking about. Redditors trying to contemplate how vast and empty most of the US outside the coasts are than trying to understand property ownership and development with international building codes will never not be funny. Edit. +10 to -6. I'm not wrong. Cope more. I have a master's degree and know what I'm talking about. Good day to you. I've got a master's and PhD and I don't know what he's trying to say. I guess maybe higher degrees cancel each other out? Well, I dropped out of school in 8th grade and I understand him completely. Maybe your degrees don't mean anything. And I spit on them. This guy and his eloquent music taste. It's simply a matter of IQ. Our society peaked and is now in decline. Complex musical structure with multiple instruments and frequent changes in keys and rhythm require a degree of intellect that most people today lack. Their attention span is thus too short to listen to a full 44 minutes of an album, let alone a 7 or 8 minute song. This is not a bad thing. There are still great musicians out there, and now I get to see them seated in a venue of less than 1,000 people. Tickets for some of the best acts are typically between $30 to $40. That is $8 in 1979 money, and that's what I paid to see Kansas in 1979. Ticket prices are cheap. Seating is always available, and you don't need to worry about being crushed to death. I paid $40 or less to see Greta Van Fleet in 2019, Samantha Fish in 2021, and Daniel Nicole just a few weeks ago. I want to see Larkin Poe and Kingfish Ingram. I'll bet even you don't know who these people are, perhaps with the exception of GVF. How about Starcrawler? I just saw them at the Troubadour. That place only seats about 600. Very intimate concert venue. Tickets were $18. Guffaw! Teabagging with their intellectual superiority. You're the one who sounds like they're crying, lol. No, I just want to debate against y'all. What I'm doing now is called teabagging. Ever heard of it? Yeah, it's where I flaunt my sense of intellectual superiority by demeaning you because despite the fact I won in good faith, I don't respect. No, I don't know what that is. It's censored. We can only assume what he said, or anyone who defends them at all. So no, I'm calling you an idiot over and over again, not because I'm coping, but because it's a genuine reflection of my beliefs about you people, and I get off to it. It's a sexual thing for me. Not recommended. 138 hours at the review time. The novelty of the experience has dissipated, and the enjoyment in engaging with this game has waned. I have acquired requires a comprehensive understanding of the simulation, if one could generously term it as such. Frankly, this game appears to be a substantial misrepresentation even in light of recent updates. Upon reviewing the weekly developer videos, one is left to ponder whether they were addressing an entirely different game. It strains credulity that any of the developers have successfully managed a city exceeding 100k in population. Below, I enumerate a series of grievances. Cargo possesses the ability to teleport indiscriminately from one location to another, obviating the necessity for any form of vehicular transport. Absence of toggleable zoning on roads, a manifestation I classify as a bug. The statistics panel / menu displays only half of the chart. Canines are inexplicably abandoned when a simulated entity utilizes public transportation to a destination beyond the city limits. Frequent crashes to the desktop occurring approximately every 3 hours. Influxes of taxis originating from external locales converging on an arbitrary point, idling and subsequently departing the city via ostensibly the most inconvenient route, characterized by its protracted duration or sluggish pace. Occasional inexplicable surges in the waiting on a hearse phenomenon without ... Feels like he wrote his review and then told an AI to rewrite it with bigger words. I wonder how common that is now for people who want to sound smarter just asking for AI to make their comments verbose. I feel like that's way more common than anyone might realize now. That's the true AI purpose. I hate testing on animals just as much as everyone else, but that just sounds unlikely that it happened. I once gave a speech in high school about how we could use these types of criminals in place of animals for product testing, appease PETA and get more accurate results, and send a clear message to criminals. I got a standing ovation. Oh yeah, then why aren't we doing it, huh? Why aren't we doing it then, huh? Huh, big guy? Huh, tough guy? I think anyone who says, huh, is a mouth-breathing, bottom-feeding Neanderthal. There are so many ways to articulate your confusion in an intelligent and dignified manner in a conversation with someone or when faced with a puzzling situation. Could you repeat that for me? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Why is this happening? And can you tell me why you're doing that? Even what? And are fine because the former is confrontational and the latter sounds dismissive and uncaring. But if someone says, huh, not only do they sound confrontational and uncaring, they also sound like a fucking idiot. Nothing is communicated when someone says, huh. There's no good way to say, huh. The way, huh, is pronounced is guaranteed to make you sound like a drooling caveman. Even if you're utterly baffled by someone or something else's dumbassery, please don't stoop to their level by going, huh, what? You'll just make everything worse. Not even true. Only use I could think of is for child-proofing cabinets, honestly. I mean, depends on how crafty your children are. I disassembled and reassembled the family microwave when I was 3. Okay, Jimmy Neutron. I'm sure I wasn't the only toddler too clever. This kid handled a magnetron in a microwave. He handled the capacitor. How did he discharge it? Did this kid discharge the capacitor? John Oliver isn't funny. He just curses and yells with a British accent. I see your perspective, but it's kind of cathartic to hear some dude go, what the f*** at an awful systematic issue on television. Oh, I don't watch TV for current events. I get actual real information. God, these people are annoying. How do you live life like this and be so annoying?